Shalom, I bless you in the name of the Lord, for opening your day with words today. Today's text is all about the history of 520. For they have cried out to God in the fight and have been helped, so fight with them. Because they have commissioned and fought God. Today, we will share our grace with you. Under the title of, The Brave Men Who Commissioned God. Let's read the text one more time. For they have cried out to God in the fight and have been helped, so fight with them. Because they have commissioned and fought God. How do you feel when you hear this? The expression, I cried to God in the middle of a fight, really touches my heart. We can't pray when we're at peace. But we cry when we're in a real crisis. So did the Israelites, but the important thing is that God heard their cry. It looks like a genealogy book. But it's actually a reminder of the roots of faith. The Reuben and Gad tribes in chapter 5 lived east of the Jordan River. And they were always in danger of war. In particular, the fight at the time was not just a struggle but a battle of survival. But the Bible clearly says the reason for victory. It wasn't a sword, it wasn't a number of soldiers. It was because they commissioned God. The text says, because they commissioned God and fought. The word, request, is not just about believing. It's about leaning fully and weighing in. Who are we leaning on? My knowledge, my experience, my finances, or I'm leaning on people? To ask God is to transfer my foothold to God. In other words, by relying on God where I can't stand. Because they were helped by crying out to God in the fight. Everyone, crying is not just a prayer. It's a desperate confession of trust that comes from the deep inside. We need quiet prayers, but sometimes we need crying prayers. The greater the weight of the problem, the louder the sound of the prayer. Crying is not the act of moving God, but the act of concentrating my heart on God. And God never turns a blind eye to those prayers. The text says, fight with them. How amazing is that? It's the moment our fight becomes God's fight. I'm not fighting in front of you, but God is fighting in front of you. We are often discouraged when a fight seems too big and overwhelming. But if you remember that God fights with me, instead of fear comes boldness. A man of faith is not happy to see the result of victory, but a man who is bold in the fact that God is with him. What kind of fight am I standing in front of today? Economic problems, family conflicts, health problems, spiritual discouragement. We get tired of trying to solve things on our own too easily. But a warrior is not a man with a knife, but a man who kneels. As soon as he kneels in prayer, he becomes a victorious warrior. Leave my fight to the Lord today. That's when God turns my fight into yours. I once stood in front of a big financial problem. No matter how